Welcome back, everybody. This is part 5, and it's the last part of the night receiver. I lost a little bit of the video footage. I didn't put all the alignment. I put maybe some of the alignment on it. It aligned really well. It was really close. The IFs were off a little bit. I guess that was the worst part of it. But the rest of it, there was a couple of places where you align the bands, and then you go and you drop the frequency down, or you run the frequency of the receiver down and check for an image. There was one of those. There was 3 instances where you had to do that on the different bands, and there was one instance where there was an image. So I think the original, whoever did it originally, had aligned it in the wrong place. But I mean, it was still working. I think there was just a few little odds and ends that I had to clean up and make good before I buttoned it up. So sit back. I hope you enjoy this, and we'll go from here. I struggled to get an angle that didn't glare on that thing. It's not that shiny, but anyway, I took the S meter apart and kind of gently blew it out with my mouth. Now, I probably put COVID in there for future generations. Hi. But kind of got it slightly off station. And you can see it hangs right about there. Just occasionally it does, but in most cases it seems to be working okay. That's tuning on and off the station there. See if I can get it to move and jiggle in there. Yeah, I got it slightly off station, and but we'll watch it for a while, and we may have to clean it out a little bit more. I don't know. The meter movement was sticking, so what I determined was that center screw there is a little pivot point, and so I adjusted it down ever so slightly, and it would seem to work okay until I put it up in the upright position. So I made some adjustments on it. Now let's see if I put it back together, it'll work smoothly. I wanted to show you, if you'll remember, one of the L brackets was off of this this mounting bracket for the S meter. What I did is I drilled a small, well, I actually was going to try to do 2 holes, but the mounting screw here wouldn't allow me to do that. So I put 1 screw in, had to grind the head off a little bit, and then I soldered it up here. Probably could have gotten by with soldering it all the way around, but I started with the screw method and ended up with the with both of them. So it does pretty good, so it'll hold it. Okay, I put the S meter back in, and I cut my overhead light out. That LED light causes a lot of havoc here. And I'm near the local station, and I think you can see the S meter move, and this station is pretty strong. But you see it now, it's on that trunnion or pivot or fulcrum or whatever, that little point. It had gotten off, and I don't know if somebody had turned the screw or if it just came off. I don't know. But as you can see, the S meter seems to be working okay now. I want to show you something else that I realized what's going on. Okay, as you can see, I got a capacitor. I just left that on there. That was for the calibration of it. And This switch here is the remote switch, and what that's for is you take and put your receiver in standby, hook the remote up to your transmitter, and the transmitter, when it unkeys, when you're transmitting, it puts it in a standby, and then when it unkeys, then it puts it back into the receive mode. But this is something you've got to really be careful of, because now I'm going to flip this. Otherwise, if you do this manually, you do it on the front with a switch, and the switch wears out if you use it back and forth. So let me turn it to standby, and you watch my meter there, and this is set on the 250 volt scale, and that's pretty close, between 175 and 180 volts on the back of your rig here. So, you know, if you've just got a receiver you're listening to or anything like that, as a SWL or whatever, and it's set up like this, better be careful. There's high voltage there. Okay, I've been cooking this a couple of days with the S meter. As you can see, the S meter seems to be working okay now as you tune across. A lot of stations on. I pegged it out with the local station there, but a lot of stations there, or noise. But anyway, just giving you an update on that. Also, this is for Greg from Greg's Vintage Workshop. He had made a comment about the transformer looking a little drab compared to everything else, so maybe he shamed me a little bit, I don't know, but you know, I had decided not to touch it up, but there it is. So there's that. Now to Greg, I'm going to say, now I want to see the Philco 54C redone now. You know, I could get by with gouging each other like that a little bit, but I think I want to see that 54C going. Here's a little demonstration. Starting at the bottom of the band. I didn't know there's this many stations. This is 5 minutes till noon.
Biblical sense, a prophet. In a technical please.
Everything for invitation. Hell, thine own.
Live from the our studio. Here's Atos. My love to hate from his just announced position as the new host of Jeopardy! Several years ago, in a memo to staff.
Pretty much.
Storm Henri could
Alright, there's a demonstration running through the bands. I didn't know there was that many stations available, and I've got about a 15-foot piece of wire just strung up in the overhead here. I haven't put it on a real antenna yet, which the HF bands are kind of dead right now, it being midday. So I'm going to try to, sometime maybe tonight, catch the bands good, hook it to a real antenna, and try the shortwave bands or the ham bands or both. So I was just impressed with that right there. So I wanted to share that with y'all. Okay, here's a little demonstration. This is my TS850. Let's see if we can listen in to a little bit. You hear the weak station there? Okay.
You finally cracked the bell of your 59 Canada. Thank you very much, my friend, for 9481.
Okay, I'm gonna turn this one down and that one up.
Roger, thank you, Spencer.
A little demonstration of the receiver. It's fairly sensitive. I just didn't, I had forgotten how much work it is to tune in a single sideband signal, because you have to inject the, you have to use the VFO, inject the signal, because the single sideband, the carrier is removed, so you have to inject the carrier to get a heterodyne to receive it. But this is 40 meters, middle of the day. I'm on a well, it's not a G5RB, it's a ZS6BKW, which is a modified G5RB dipole antenna. So there is another demonstration. Now that's a very weak signal. Let's turn it up over here.
Whiskey Victor 855.
They're running about an S7 over on the 850. So as you can see, it's a very sensitive receiver. I'm about ready to put the cover back on this and call this good. So the case is back on it. If you hear that familiar sound, that's on the band D at 15 megahertz. And most people that's in the ham world and shortwave listening will know what that sound is. Yeah.
19 hours, 19 minutes.
That's not much of an antenna. About 15 feet of wire. I showed you the 40 meter band earlier. Let me show you around a little bit. What that's reflecting there, I guess that's that meter reflecting on there. Not much of a paint job. I had to cut the overhead light off there. It makes a lot of noise. And listening to the AM band, I have never received this many stations on just one of my receivers that I've redone.
Live event.
This is just on the AM band and during the day. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So all these are fairly local stations. So the AM band works really good. The HF bands, the ham bands, the shortwave bands, they're working okay. It's taken me a while to get used to the dials, and it does. The crystal calibrator does still work. The S meter, as you can, I don't know if you've seen it going up and down, it's still working. So I'm real pleased with that. So that is the 1957-8 predecessor to the R100 made by Knight. And so I think we're going to call this one a wrap. Hope you enjoyed this series, and I'll probably do a little shortwave listening and or listen to the radio on this because it's so nice. I'm going to just put it up here in the corner of the shack and plug it up and hook it up. So I think that's going to do it. So from Larry, from the hills of Tennessee, thanks for watching.